you know it's time. IAfootball is back, and we've got you covered with everything from the biggest hits to the biggest runs, from in-game highlights to post-game breakdowns.
We are here talking any and all high school football.
From day one all the way to the dome, we've got you covered at IAfootball.
Week 6 is upon us. It is early in the morning on Thursday, but that's not stopping us. Nick Fox and I both here. Nick, you look tired, man.
Yeah, I was thinking before we got on here, I'm like, I'm not even going to say anything about the time because there's guaranteed someone who watches this who wakes up way earlier and doesn't say anything. So
Nick's just tired because he keeps losing week to week after locks.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But coming today on Rockfin, we do have our weekly picks. Working on some more exclusive content for you guys. I've been appreciating everyone for hopping over there and subbing. Those of you that are trying to get you guys all the content that we can. But that will be coming out today. As always, any interesting stories, we've gotten some great messages. I've already got some stuff that I'm trying to line up next week. So thank you for reaching out. Very excited to go tell some of these unique things going on. And last week, our rankers. Our rankers picks come out today. Here's how they did last week, and it just so happened to be the best week of the season, 82%. And as the season is going on, our rankers are really, these ultimate rankings are really starting to be honed in. I mean, they're still not perfect, but they are looking pretty good. If you're a subscriber on Rockfin and you see these ultimate rankings where each team is ranked spot for spot in each class. A lot of good stuff over there, and they're really starting to get honed down because this is really what they use a lot of the time. And as far as Nick and I goes, Nick, neither of us missed a lock, but kind of a weird week. I've never seen someone hit all their locks and then miss all their dogs. It kind of looks
funny. Okay, to be fair, when I was filling in these, there was a lot of games that ended like really close, like within the score.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, they lost, and so that's an L for me.
No, yeah, 100%. You're right. But we are gonna get moving on with our locks and dogs for Class 5A. I will get things started here, going with Iowa City West versus Muscatine. The Trojans, they did lose to Liberty last week. That recap is on YouTube if you would like to see it. But I still think this team is legit. They haven't won 9 games in a season since 2018, but they're 4-1 right now, and they are looking like they could do that this year. Wheeler, Janis, Headings, they're all monsters with Witters leading the way on the offensive line. The defense is really good, too, with Manson and Law over there. Those guys have had some great games. And I'm going to go with Iowa City West to get a win versus Muscatine. And my dog, going with Johnston versus Ankeny. Now, if you look at the Class 5A slate, this is kind of the biggest game on the slate. I know this is the second week in a row where I picked against Ankeny, so they're probably not going to like me over there. And that's okay because I like them, and that's a really good team over there. And Johnston is too. Both teams 4-1. Both teams with 1 loss coming to a team ranked higher than them. Dragons won this one last year. Trevin Helming is coming off a really good game. Johnson quarterback. He's been playing well as of late. But as always, when you talk about Ankeny, can you stop Daniel Larmy? He's got 150-something carries. He's got the most carries by an 11-man running back, which is pretty crazy. That dude has been a workhorse for them, and I'm going to bet he's going to get another 25 to 35 again tonight. So that one's going to be a ton of fun on Friday night. Excited to follow that one. And as I said, kind of the biggest game in Class 5A, if I had to say, wouldn't you, Nick?
Yeah, I would agree. I was looking at that one too, but Johnson already gave me the dog points that I can get from them for the season. I'm pretty sure they did. I don't know. Anyway, I went Valley here for my lock. I think I'm not going to go back here. Like I'm locked in on this, but I'm pretty sure that I was on a different week when I made this pick, when I was filling my district standings and I saw this game. But I'm going to double down here. They're taking on Ankeny Centennial. Now, this is going to be no easy game at all. I went and watched Ankeny versus Ankeny Centennial. The environment there is one of my favorite football environments I've ever been to. But they're going on the road to West Des Moines Valley here. Obviously, Valley, outside of their one loss to the now number one Waukee Northwest, they've had a really good season, right? They beat Dowling week one. Since that loss, 3-game winning streak with Urbandale, Waukee, Indianola. Really, any 5A team in the metro area is going to be really good competition. So, Valley putting up good numbers again. They look like a top 5 team again. Looking at some of the key components here, Drake DeGroot, quarterback, he's possibly going to get over the 1,000-yard mark in this game. And obviously Jaden McGregory, who's been a problem across multiple sports. He's causing problems at wide receiver again, 315 yards and 5 touchdowns. So I'll take Valley here. And my dog pick, you talk about the biggest game probably across the state in 5A. I would also say that it's pretty quiet this week in 5A outside of some of those top games. Not a lot to pick from, but I think this could be interesting with Linn-Mar and Pleasant Valley. These two have had some pretty decent battles, but Pleasant Valley on a 3-game winning streak against Linn-Mar. So obviously Linn-Mar is ready to snap that streak here. Common opponents, I kind of was interested by this game because I think they've done pretty similarly against some similar teams, I suppose. This was kind of a last-second pick for me, so I'm kind of scrambling. But, yeah, I think that Linn-Mar's got some dudes. I think they've had a really hard schedule, and I think this is a perfect game for them to turn it around here. So give me Linn-Mar for a pretty good upset here.
Dig it. Moving on to Class 4A. And again, we're kind of running into that situation where we're having to make sure we don't repeat teams as locks and dogs. So that's coming into play here a little bit too. But my lock, I'm going to go with Glenwood. Only loss is to title contending Sergeant Bluff Luton by 3. They're coming off that crazy comeback over Lewis Central. If you didn't see about that, boy, I mean, they were down 24-0 right out of the gates, come back, claw out a 41-38 win. Scott Reed Jr. is the truth. This dude is their workhorse back. He's been looking good. They host Denison on Friday, and I'm picking them to get a win. And my dog, another team I've picked against before, and it hasn't worked out. I've picked against Gilbert before, hasn't worked out. It just so happens where I'm doing it again because I like Carlisle. And if you're on our ultimate rankings, you know Carlisle is the first or second team out of the top 16. I'm not sure which one. It's one of the two, but these guys are right there. They've been playing good. They have a lot of close losses to really good teams, and they're looking for that statement win. Gilbert obviously hasn't lost yet, so here's a chance for Carlisle. But when you talk about the Tigers, you know they're going to run the football, and they've been doing that effectively. 8 yards per carry for Gilbert, and they've only thrown it 16 times this year. So this team runs the football a ton, and they're averaging 8 a pop. That is so hard to stop. Carlisle, though, they're also very effective running, and CJ Hogg, he can throw it around. He's one of the quarterbacks to kind of watch in Class 4A. He's been having a good year. I don't know. I don't like going against Gilbert again because it didn't work out last time, but I do like this Carlisle team. I think they're a little bit better than their record might show. So I'm going to go with Carlisle to go on the road and get a win at Gilbert, Nick.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go with my lock this week for 4. I'm going to go Lamar. It's kind of a interesting team if you've looked at their schedule so far this season. They've played a 5A school, 3 top-ranked 3A schools, and then since we started district play last week, they finally played a 4A team, and I thought they did really solid against Spencer in the 33-20 win. So they got a 4A team on their schedule here again, and I think they're going to get another win here. I mean, Lamar's kind of one of those quiet teams because they do have a couple losses on their record, but it was to Bishop Heelan, who I think wire to wire has been the number 2 team in 3A, and then Sioux Center, which we've talked multiple times about how they're a rising team in 3A as well. So I think this is a great opportunity for them to add a win to their record. Jamie Sitzman, I think, If you want to correct, do you think that's right? If
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know,
Jamie
sometimes you just
Sitzman. Yeah.
okay. Sometimes you know off the top of your head because you're a sicko, but he's had a pretty solid year so far. He's also about to eclipse the 1,000-yard passing mark, and 14 touchdowns on the year for him too. So the Bulldogs looking good ahead of this game. My dog pick, I'm gonna go with Newton. And you want to talk about some of the biggest games in the state? This might be up there for the biggest game in the state. And if it's not across the board, it certainly is in 4A. Newton taking on Pella. Um, I mean, I feel like Caden Klein is always the guy who comes up when we talk about Newton. He's just been a freak at quarterback. Over 1,000 total yards, 16 total touchdowns. I mean, he has been doing damage across the board. In terms of historical matchups, Pella, I was actually kind of surprised to see this, that Pella has the advantage over Newton. I feel like Newton's had some pretty good football teams in the last several years, but um, yeah, it's been really back and forth in the last 4 years, 2-2. So I'm going to take Newton to get the advantage in that one in the last 5 years.
Yeah, you could definitely argue that one is the biggest game in the state. I feel like there's one coming up though that might be just a notch bigger, but we'll get talking about that because Nick decided to take a pick on it, which I love. But we're off to Class 3A, and in Class 3A, I'm gonna go with Atlantic as my lock. This team is not ranked, but I do think they're pretty solid. They're coming off of a miracle win. If you didn't see the clip on IAfootball socials, they hit a last-second Hail Mary to beat Creston. It looked crazy. They're trying to win and go 2-0 in district play. And you go 2-0 in district play, I mean, you're in the driver's seat in terms of that. And they'll have some big games coming up. Ethan McNeil, the guy to know on this team, he had a big week last week. He's their kind of the running back that does it all. Atlantic loves to run the football, and they've been doing a good job of that. My dog, Central DeWitt at Waller. Now, Central DeWitt's coming off a loss to Assumption. I think a good Assumption team, a team that could be in our rankings. I know they're just on the outside, but Central DeWitt, these Sabres have scored 30 plus in every single game this year, 40 plus in 4 of their 5. So this team can score, and Waller has not given up 20 points yet. So this is going to be one of those contrasting style games. Hudson Kruko. I don't know. I'm just learning this name because this dude has shown up on the map all of a sudden in the Mr. IAfootball conversation. Him and Brady Meadows have been a crazy combination in Class 3A. Boy, they've been putting up yards left and right. But they're going against, and I love this name, if I'm saying it correctly too, Noah Cratful. Noah Cratful's Waller Catholic defense. That is just an insane name, but that's going to be a fun test. Central DeWitt at Waller, district action. 2 teams kind of on the back end of our rankings. Well, Central DeWitt, I guess, kind of probably got knocked out, but Waller Catholic on the back end of our rankings. Still a really competitive game in Class 3A, and I'm excited to see how that one turns out, Nick.
Yeah, I agree. I think this will be a really interesting game. I like that you picked on that one. My lock for this week, I'm going to go with Mount Pleasant. I specifically saw some Mount Pleasant hate.
I did too.
On our rankings post. And so I wanted to show some love to Mount Pleasant here. Certainly not not a team that you think of when you think of like high quality high school football. They're off to a 4-1 start on the year. They've got their one loss on the year was to previously mentioned Central DeWitt, but they're taking on Fort Madison this week. Mount Pleasant, just kind of this even Steven team that just it's kind of hard for me to explain because like I just saw this, like they just play football. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like they don't have one guy that they just ball. Like they just play the game. Whoever gets the ball, they're going to give the guy who's going to give them the best chance to win. And I like this about the Panthers team, so I'll take them to win this week. Also, just kind of a jab at the people who are hating on Mount Pleasant. I think they can start season 5-1, and that's pretty impressive. Don't be laughing at my picks.
No, I know you picked that because I saw the Mount Pleasant hate on the comments, and then I saw your pick. I'm like, oh, he's doing that, and I like doing that. No, I think that's good. I've done that too. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. All right. My dog pick, I went with Carroll specifically because this is a good 3A game, and specifically because I knew that you would pick them if they were available. So this was also I'm kind of spiteful in 3A this week. But I'm going to go with Carroll. They're taking on Greene County. Carroll already has a pretty good win with Humboldt. And that kind of put them on the map when it comes to 3A. They also got a good win last week against Harlan. And then the previous week, they were 1 point away from getting at a top 10 4A team. So I think this Carroll team is much better than their record shows. And now they're going to take on a ranked 3A team in Greene County, and 7-0 previously in matchups against Greene County. I really like Carroll's chances in this one. Is it Adam Malik? Malik. Okay. Adam Malik, also a guy who's been put on the map when it just comes to 3A play. I feel like 730 yards and 7 touchdowns for him. That's a really solid start. He is inching closer to that 1,000-yard mark. And obviously 7 touchdowns through 5 games. Very impressive there. So give me the Carroll Tigers, Cade's alma mater, to take home a really big win in 3A this week.
Yeah, I had the first pick this week, and I log into my sheet, and I see Carroll's already on Nick's tab. So I don't know, make that make sense, everybody.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, we are off to Class 2A, and in 2A with my lock, I'm going to go with PCM. They're taking on Albia. I mean, PCM, there was a lot of question marks about this team in the preseason, and I think they've done nothing but answer them. This is a dome contender in Class 2A, and not just a dome contender. These guys are going after the state title, and there's no doubt about that. If you're looking on the horizon, though, they've got a fun little date with Centerville in the final week of the regular season. That one's going to be a ton of fun, and I think it's going to tell us a lot about both those teams. But anyways, until then, PCM looking to keep it rolling. Luis Day is back, the running back. He's had monster games in both the games that he's been back rushing the football for them. Chase Wagaman, Gavin Steenhook, those guys have been great. Quarterback, wide receiver combo. Steenhook played a big part on the team last year. That went to the Dome and fell in the semis. That team was a ton of fun to watch. But PCM just looking to keep it rolling. I've been very impressed with this team so far. One loss, and it was on a Hail Mary to Nevada, and you win that game, and all of a sudden that whole script is flipped, and people you're looked at a whole different way. So that was a tough loss, nevertheless. But I still see a lot of value in that because that's a really good 3A team that they went up on the road and competed hard with. But my dog, an underrated 2A game. Albernet got a lot of love in the IHSA poll, and rightfully so. This team's been really good. They have that head-to-head win over Mid Prairie, but Bellevue didn't really. And I think there's more value behind Bellevue than people are thinking. So I'm going to go with them to go on the road and beat Albernet. This team was a Class A team last year. They bump up 2 classes, and they have been nothing but excellent. Cal Boniface, their quarterback, he's contending for Mr. IAfootball. Keenan Kilberg, their wide receiver, dude is putting up crazy stats. Last year, he had like 18 catches in a game or something, so they get him the football a lot as a wide receiver. But Lake and Caves for Albernet, that dude's a problem. I saw him against Regina. That he's the real deal. Lake and Caves, there's a football name for you. I'm really excited to do a video on the football names in Iowa, and he'll be on it. But Bellevue at Albernet, just a sneaky, really good game in Class 2A. Bellevue on the back end of our rankings. Albernet, I believe, is high as number 4 I've seen. So that one's going to be a ton of fun there. Albernet is coming off a big win over West Branch where they were able to hang on against those guys. So big Class 2A game going down. I'm going to go with Bellevue to pull an upset there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Bellevue and Marquette Catholic combined for a football team?
Correct. Yeah. Yep. Because
Okay.
Cal Boniface is Marquette Catholic's ace in baseball.
Yep. Okay, I see.
Yep.
Because
Hey, Nick's learning.
I remember
Nick learns something new every week. I love it. No, that's a good question though. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. My lock for this week, I'm gonna go with Osage. I feel like a team that we've talked more about in the last several weeks, specifically with that football name that you just talked about with Brock Trees. Shout out Brock Trees again. But on Osage has been, one of the best teams in the class, 5-0 start. And then now they're going to take on Walk-On, and Walk-On's not really going to be this cakewalk game. They've had some decent teams, and specifically in this head-to-head, Walk-On has dominated 3-1 all time in this game. And I think we're in the Osage era now, and I think Osage kind of starts to chip away at this lead here. I think just across the board, they have a good team here. Quinn Street has been leading the way on this offense, passing and rushing. He's got 962 passing and 500 rushing. On top of, 23 touchdowns? It's still early. I don't got mental math right now, but Quinn Street, he's been a force to be reckoned with on offense. Brock Trees, cool name, but also he has been one of their best defenders across the board. So Osage Green Devils, I think it's their time to shine here. And then my dog pick, I'm going to go with Dyke New Hartford here. I think this Dyke New Hartford team is kind of getting a little bit, how do I phrase this? I think they could be ranked higher is what I'm trying to say. They're 4-1 to start the year. Their one loss is to the wire-to-wire number one Grundy Center, who we're going to get to in a moment here. But I think this looks like the same old Dyke New Hartford team that we see every year. They have an incredible defense. Their offense has been solid, specifically in the last 3 weeks, or in the last 2 weeks. They've gone 64 and 21 points there in those games. So I think specifically they have the elite defense. They have the offense that gets the job done to back the defense. I wish I could watch that at the collegiate level too. In any case, I really like Dyke New Hartford. They're playing Roland Story, and I feel like this has upset written all over it. So I'll take the Wolverines in the win.
There you go. Yeah, Dyke, New Hartford, another team moving up a class, and you just never know how these teams are going to fare bumping up. So, yeah, good point, though. I love it. Moving on to Class 1A. There it is, folks. We will get to it in a second, but Nick texted me. He said he's got a crazy pick for the week, and I'll let him explain himself when he gets there, but I'm excited. My lock, I'm going with Union at Hudson. I wanted Union last week. They had a forfeit win, though, so I couldn't. But I tell you what, it's a risky game. Union at Hudson. These guys are still perfect, but they're going to face Tade Roberts and company at Hudson. It's a really good QB matchup. Tade Roberts, Caden Sorensen, both have been really good. Hudson is not a bad team by any means, and they're looking to get their statement win. Union, though, single-digit points allowed for Union in 3 of their 5 games. These guys have been excellent. I've picked against them before. It didn't work, so I'm going to try and make it up to them and pick them in a game and see if they can come through for me. Big game over there, though. Union looking to stay perfect on the year and keep climbing the rankings because, if you look at the ultimate rankings, I'm going to guess Union has been one of the biggest risers across all classes. That is a team that we were not correct on in the preseason, and that's what I love about preseason rankings and those ultimate rankings is we can easily see who we missed on and give them love because we're not always going to be right. But my dog, though, going with half of the alphabet school, MVAO, COU, taking on, I guess I'm kind of pulling a Nick Fox here, taking on Hinton in this one. Hinton has dominated these last 2 matchups, but MVAO, COU, we've talked about them before on the show. Caden Schmidt, Manny Cameron, Tanner Dixon. These guys lead a really balanced offense. They're coming off a tough loss against Lawton Bronson just a few weeks ago. They have a chance here to get a ranked win, put themselves back on the map. You win this one, you're going to claw back into the rankings most likely. They're just on the outside of them. But the Rams, underrated logo here in the state of Iowa, and they got a big matchup this week against a ranked Hinton team.
Yeah, you'll learn someday, buddy. Don't pick against Hinton. It never ends well. My lock pick this week, I'm going to go with I-35. I wanted to pick on this team because when I first started covering high school football, I thought, really, there's a school named after an interstate? Like, what are we doing here? And they're doing good. Like, I feel bad that little 17 or 18-year-old Nick Fox was shading Interstate 35, but they have a sweet logo. They got a cool school name, and now they are playing really good football in Class 1A. They got a really, really good win a couple weeks ago against Pleasantville, who I don't maybe were they top 10 the week that they got beat? Was
Yeah,
Pleasantville?
I mean they were like number 6 all year.
Mm-hmm. So that's I mean, obviously the game that really put them on the map. And then last week they go out and they take care of business against Panorama. So I really like this I-35 team. I like the Roadrunners. I want to give a shout out to Jarrell Madison, 32 and a half tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and that's 2 sacks for him. Really solid defender that's going to put any pressure on any offense in every single game. So I'll take the Roadrunners here. And quick, before I get to this one, shout out Union Community too. All right, I had faith in Union Community. I saw what they did to Kemper Catholic in the basketball playoff scene last year. That was a solid game. You don't know ball, dude. You're always focused on wrestling. You would know that was an insane time to be following. Whatever. You don't get it. Anyway, let's move on to South Hardin and Grundy Center. Nobody will do it. Nobody will pick against the Spartans. They have the longest active winning streak in high school football. And I'm going to take South Hardin to tragically end that streak. Honestly, what I had to come and look at this game because like you said, this might be the biggest matchup across the state. What is there not to like about this South Hardin team? Why not the South Hardin team? Peyton Welsh has already eclipsed 1,000 yards passing with 15 touchdowns. Excuse me. Cameron Adams, just a sophomore, 583 yards and 6 touchdowns for him on the year. If you look at overall statistics, hold up, I gotta refresh my page here quick. If you look at overall statistics, South Hardin has had more yards on offense, or excuse me, that's just specifically passing, but also rushing. And I think this is going to be a really good test for Grundy Center's defense, which obviously has been a staple in their state title runs and all these undefeated seasons that they've had. If South Hardin can beat the defense, something that nobody has been able to do in years, I think South Hardin can finally end the streak here. And no hate to Grundy Center. Like, what they're doing is amazing, and it's been so fun to follow this. But I think that there's never been a bigger test against their streak before this game. I think South Hardin has the best chance to break the streak in years. So I think I should get 3 or 4 points if I hit this dog pick like this. I think this is a really good game, and I'm really excited to follow this one.
No, yeah, Nick is gonna get some flack for that. Nick's gonna get some flack for
Yeah,
that. But
for
like,
sure.
no, you're totally right though. When you look at the last 4 years or whatever, where the biggest threats have come, this game is undoubtedly a top 3 threat, you could say, and that's including state championships. I mean, this
Yeah.
is probably the biggest regular season threat. It's the biggest regular season threat Grundy Center will get this year, but it might be the biggest regular season threat they've had throughout this whole entire time. I'm so excited. I'm going. Our Photog Dev is going to be there. I'm excited. I've never caught a Grundy Center regular season game. I think you have, Nick. In our first year, you went down and saw them beat up on some. I don't even know who they played. You could probably tell me.
Pella Christian.
Pella Christian. There you go. I mean, it's incredible what they've done, and it's the biggest game in the state of Iowa this week. I'll say it. There's not a game in the state of Iowa bigger than Grundy Center and South Hardin, and I'm excited to go down there and check it out. But before Nick gets too much internet hate, we'll move on to Class A. And in Class A, I had St. Ansgar as my lock. I saw Nick added them too, so I will change to MMCRU. MMCRU has just been rolling. Eli Harpinaugh and company. This team has picked up big win over big win. They've already got a win over Hinton too, a ranked team in class above them. I just think they keep it rolling. Just monster team in Class A. They're number one in the IHSAA poll, and rightfully so. They're very high in our poll, and this is undoubtedly a dome contender. I'm going to go with the Royals to pick up a win. And my dog, going with Linville Sully, taking on Madrid. Madrid's coming off a tough game. I know they're dealing with some injuries. I hope all those guys get better. But this Linville Sully team is a good team and one you have to take seriously. They've been in our rankings for the last few weeks. They've played close with Pleasantville when they were at their full strength. Dawson James on defense is just a game wrecker for these guys. On offense, they have a nice 600 passing, 800 rushing yard split. They're very balanced on offense. And this is just a tough team to stop. And this is a team, like I said, all these dogs I've been picking are looking for that big ranked win. And this is a chance for Linville Sully to pick up that big ranked win, take control in this district, and set themselves up to host some football games in the playoffs. And that's a big deal. So this game means a lot in Class A, and specifically to Linville Sully and Madrid. And so I'm going to go with Linville Sully. It's one of the bigger games in Class A. I want to make a pick on it, and I mean, like you said, I mean, no hate to Madrid, because we're well aware of what this team's doing. I know they're dealing with some stuff and injuries, and so this is just an opportunity for Linville Sully and an opportunity for Madrid to prove that they are still a ranked team, without a key piece or two. So, going to be a big game over there, and I'm excited to see how that one turns out.
Yeah, I think that's a good game to pick on. I went and watched Madrid, and I thought, despite the injuries, I thought they'd still play a solid game against ACGC, who we know is, going to be competing for a state title again in Class A. So, so my lock this week, I'm going to go with St. Ansgar. Just picked against them last week. Another team that I've historically picked against, and historically anybody I pick against wins anyway. So it is what it is. But I'm going to go, if you can't beat them, join them, and take St. Ansgar this week as my lock. Kind of just, it's like I just talked about these guys last week and what Nashua had to do to beat them. And it's kind of just the same story. Like the St. Ansgar team they have their scheme, right? They run the ball a lot. They throw some passing in there when needed. And when they do, it's worked out really well. I mean, you want to talk about a non-passing team, but out of the 20 completed passes, it's the 339 yards for 5 touchdowns. So St. Ansgar, who is known for running, has some pretty decent passing stats. So a team like that who can you run commit and then they throw it over your head, right? Like that's kind of the games they play, and obviously it's worked really well for them. They've been competing for state titles for years now, and I think this is just another really good St. Ansgar team that we're seeing. They're 2-0 historically against Postville, so I'll take them to get the win this week too. My dog pick for this week, I'm going to go with AHSTW. I feel like we haven't talked about this team at all this year. So I'm going to show the first love to AHSTW this season. I don't remember what their record was last year. I know that they were I don't want to say I know they were a playoff team, but I know that we talked about them last year. They had a solid team last year, and a solid team again, kind of flying under the radar this season. I feel like I've talked about that with some of these dog picks, is like you said, just kind of teams that are under the radar looking for that big ranked win. No better time than the present here against Mount Air. Let's see, they got Dayton Osbauer. Dude, that might be the hardest name I've had to read this season. I'm sorry, Dayton. There's no way I didn't just butcher your name, man. The sophomore quarterback. I feel really bad when I butcher these names. I'm sorry, Dayton. 518 passing yards and 6 touchdowns on the year for them. And then Drew Lee, a really good guy having the backfield with you there. He's about to eclipse 500 rushing yards with 9 touchdowns for him. So yeah, that's my STW pick there against Mount Air. Again, I'm sorry it's early, but I like this game, and I think this is a really good shot for them to put themselves on the map. So yeah, give me the Vikings.
I had a note written down on St. Ansgar because I was going to pick them, but that team's averaging over 10 yards per carry. Every time they rush the football, they're getting a first down, which is
Jeez.
absolutely bonkers, especially for an 11-man team. I mean, 8-man, you'll sometimes see that, but in Class A, it's pretty crazy. Off to Class 8-man, though, as we were talking about. My lock going with Kingsley Pearson versus West Bend Mallard. Our guy Nate Castillo is going to be here taking pictures. Landon Howe, Tyler Cook, monsters for Kingsley Pearson. Their only loss is to Bishop Garrigan all year. In the last 3 games they've played on offense, they've scored 69, 69, and 79 points. So this team has been lighting up the scoreboard unusually high for Class 8-man teams. So Kingsley Pearson, one of my teams to kind of look out for. I know they're ranked in our polls, but still, the one loss kind of knocks you down in 8-man just because there's so many teams that are really good. But I still think this is a team that can contend once those playoffs happen and once you get in those little pods. I mean, this could be a team that wrecks one of them. So I'm a fan of these guys. And my dog, the biggest game in 8-man this week, I saw people commenting about it on Facebook. Easton Valley, Edgewood, Colesburg, undefeateds meeting up in week 6. You don't see that a ton in Class 8-man, but you get that this week. Keegan Lee versus Jack Stager. I mean, the 2 quarterbacks have been phenomenal for these guys. Stager is just a sophomore for Edgewood Colesburg, by the way. And he wears number 24, which is incredible. And he throws it a lot. So I love quarterbacks in the number 20s slinging the rock. Price Rockford, he wore number 20s. He'd throw it too. So they just try and like disguise him back there with a number 20. Think they're going to run the football, and then they break it out and they'll throw it 40 yards down the field. So no, I'm kidding, but no, it's really cool they do that. But Springville played both these guys competitively, but other than that, it's just been blowouts left and right for these guys. They've kind of been on a collision course with each other towards this game, and now here we are. And will anyone get a stop? I mean, both these teams just are excellent on offense. Callan Messerich is a guy on Eastern Valley too, that wide receiver that we've talked about. But yeah, it's just going to kind of come down to if you can get a stop, and if you can't get a stop, if you can force a turnover, because those turnovers in 8-man games can really flip that script. And I mean, yeah, it's the biggest game in 8-man, and I'm going to go Eastern Valley. I mean, primarily because they're the lower ranked team, but I do think Eastern Valley is a very, very good team that can win this game.
Yeah, absolutely. my lock pick, I'm gonna go with Audubon. Try and get on their good side here. I just like the matchup that they have here against Glidden Ralston. I think that Audubon is a really, really good defensive team. Their highest, what am I trying to say here? Their highest game the highest amount of points that they gave up in a game was 18 at the very beginning of the year to Remsen St. Mary's. And other than that, I mean, it has been never past single digits. So I really like that about Audubon. And I mean, also the fact that they're one of the best 8-man teams again this year. I feel like with 8-man, you kind of have this section of the rankings that are like serious title contenders. And I feel like that's what we have with Audubon. I think they're in that section as a serious title contender. So I just really like the Wheelers. Sorry for picking against you. I'm picking you this week. Give me Audubon. And my dog pick for this week, I'm going to go with St. Edmund. Kind of I wanted to say this. If you follow the maps graphic, this is the new number 1, no longer tied with Emmitsburg and Palo Alto County, GTRA. I saw some people confused about it. It's because GTRA is now ranked higher than Emmitsburg, if you're watching the show and came from Facebook. But in any case,
there's no way anyone from that comment section has made it over here.
That person that said you guys should start a podcast, you peeps need to start a podcast. I wonder if he's watching right now and he sees that
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. In any case, yeah, this has been a really back and forth battle here between these two teams historically, at least. 2-2 in the year. GTRA taking last year's game 54-46. I think this will be another high scoring game. I feel like St. Edmund's been a competitive team this year. I mean, their worst game that they played was against Bishop Garrigan, who's wire to wire been number 1 and 8, man, and obviously the favorite to win the state title. So I feel like this is St. Edmund's first like big test against a big ranked team outside of that, and I think they're ready for it this time. So I'll take the Gales for an upset.
There you go. You heard it here first. Locks and Dogs, week 6 on a Thursday morning. We usually record Wednesday nights, but we got up early today and recorded. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Be sure to drop a comment whether you agree, disagree. What are you feeling? I want to hear some comments on Nick's South Harden take. I'd love to see some Nick Fox hate in our comment section. I always condone that. So go ahead and drop a mean comment about Nick Fox. It's more than welcome, and I will probably like it. So no, I'm kidding. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, I mean, coverage across the state coming on Friday night. We'll have scores, we'll have highlights, whatever it is. We'll have it on our page. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. IAfootball has grown tremendously this year, and we can't thank y'all enough. But without further ado, I'll see you guys on Monday morning with new rankings, and Nick will see you on Thursday. So see y'all later, and have a good week, y'all.